Travis Overton for Phenomenal Pictures, and you watch Side B TV with Phil Jackson.
Yo, how much for that nine?
What now?
The nine E just put on the table. This one right here.
You want that 9 right there?
Yeah. This one.
You gotta talk to E about that. You know how he be. He be selfish with his shit.
Hey, what's going on? This is Phil Jackson, host of Sabi TV, being brought to you on the Boombox Union channel. Please go back and hit that like and subscribe button. Listen, we got like a lot of stuff going on now, man. We got some stuff coming down the pike, man. So shout out to all the subscribers out there that are, checking out the interviews, because we're just trying to give you some great content. And what I'm gonna do now is switch it up a little bit, because I'm always talking to hip hop artists, and that is, that's my bread and butter right there. I love talking to artists and see how they create music and all that. But I'm going to go into a different level now, because I was just at an event a few weeks ago down in Atlantic City. So shout out to Rob Schwartz out there. It was the Memorial Day Bash event, and it was phenomenal. And it was a guy walking around with flyers, and he wanted me to check out his movie. And I was like, you know what? Shout out to my wife, man, because like she is always on Tubi. She's always wanting to see the new movies on Tubi. And so, he gave me this flyer about this movie. And I was like, you know what? When we go home, we're going to check that out. So, and we checked it out. And, what I want to do now is get the guys up here that were in the movie. And the movie is called One Gun, is on Tubi right now. And I have on Mr. Thomas Overton and Mr. Donnell Regusters. I'm sorry, sir. I don't even have my damn glasses on. I couldn't even see it. But how you guys doing, man?
Great, man. Good. Nice to meet you. Good to meet you, bro.
Let me do that again. Thomas Overton and Donnell Regusters, and they are the creators and the co-producers of the movie One Gun. So, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. I want to start off by, like, where you guys from and how did you get started? Because, making movies now, I'm not saying that it's easier, but the access, like, you have more access to a lot of things, because like a lot of people really couldn't make movies, a few years ago, but there's so many more outlets now. So, anybody can start it off. Thomas, you can start off. Like, how did you become involved in making movies?
Well, I've always been a movie buff. I've been a movie buff like since I was a kid. So there was a time in my late 20s where I was going to college. I was taking classes at Drexel University, and I had a class, a business writing class, and the professor just liked my writing. He just thought I was my papers. He said most of the kids that's there, their parents are paying for their tuition. You see me coming in there looking all dirty and shit, coming from work, and excuse my language, but coming in there, and he liked my writing, so he told me to pursue a writing career. So a few years after that, I was actually incarcerated for a couple years, and while I was locked up, I just thought about what he said, and I started, occupying my mind. I got some books sent in on how to write a screenplay, a book called Screenwriter's Bible by a guy named David Chartier, and I read it, a few times back to back, and I started writing my own stories. I wrote, by the time I was finished, I was locked up for 2 years. So by the time I came home, I had 4 completed screenplays, 32 titles, and I had like 15 summaries of stories that I wanted to write. And when I came home from while I was locked up, my god brother was in jail with me, and I was actually a block worker. He was in cell. He just, he came on the block that I was on, and him and I, while we was locked up together, he just said he wanted to introduce me to somebody when I got home. And I was like, all right, And then when I got home, him and I, we were around. He asked me to come out to the neighborhood where I grew up at, and he introduced me to Donnell. But I known Donnell, since we were kids. I used to ride bikes with him. So it was just a coincidence that my god brother put us back together, because I hadn't seen D since high school, and that was like 10 years prior. So
Okay.
when I finally linked up with him, that was actually almost 15 years prior to before we met, Ice or Nam Brigade. So
Okay.
it was kind of like that's how we got started. I started the writing, and then D was a filmmaker. Donnell was a filmmaker. He's educated and everything. I let him speak about his journey, but
Okay.
he's enough educated, very intelligent, and his passion was to be a director. So being that I was a writer and a director, just over the years, him and I have been in pursuit of trying to get this film made, and in pursuit of trying to get the film made, we've been through a lot of struggle. Donnell's been in front of billionaires trying to get funding to get this film done. And, we've been in front of Sony Pictures trying to get it done. And we just got a bunch of no's. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we were behind a lot of filmmakers, behind filmmakers, going to events. We were doing as much as we could, but it was over a 15-year span and we just
Really?
couldn't get no right. Yeah. It was
Okay.
over a 15-year span. We had the script, but during that time, we were writing more stories and him and I would, we spent many a nights, falling asleep, writing stories, but we were compiling pages to where now we have stories, but we don't have enough. I'm not saying we don't have enough. We have a great team. We just need more money to make the other stories that
Absolutely.
that we have. So we would need, bigger financial backing, or we're able to obtain the finances ourselves from something that we did. Hopefully, in the future, we could make more pictures that have bigger budgets.
Okay.
So yeah.
So did it come natural for you? Were you like just naturally gifted writing scripts and screenplays and all that? Because it just seemed like you're a natural at that.
I think more so it came from you know, it came some more from when you're in school and you have to write term papers. I
Okay.
was always good at that and researching and things. Where like Donnell's a researching mastermind. He's good at researching and finding the in-depth stuff about things within the story that we need to make sure is included. So when I write stuff, I like to bump heads with him because he'll tell me, you know what I mean? Like, and to make sure that the story balances, he brings balance to the story that I write. So I can do it myself, but it's a lot of times since I've been around D, it's like I write stuff, but I rather let him be my second eye to tell me, all right, let's add this, take this out, you know what I mean? And then it just all comes together. So he's been a big part of me. I'm a writer, and I felt like yes, it's me. It might come natural, but D's like my editor. He's like my natural editor, and he offers his, you know what I'm saying, what he offers as far as his as far as his brainwaves when it comes to input into the story, and then even Ice gives good input on the story too. So I can bring a good I can bring a good like foundation to it, but then by the time they start nipping and tucking, what I mean, the story's a little more, it makes it a little more.
Yeah, they bring it more
Yeah.
to life. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and and that's great chemistry right there. So like Donnell, like tell me like your journey on how you first started being a filmmaker and being in the industry.
I started down in DC at American University, man.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was doing, was in a program there, and I was living in DC for a while, and then when I moved back home to Philly, I had been doing journalism in DC, so I put my journalism and my video production together, and I started being part of that DVD era. So
Okay.
I was shooting, yeah, I shot my own DVD, but then I was working with some guys that were doing some really heavy work. My guys, EA and Easy Jace, they were, uh, Back to Basics, Real Raps TV. They were on TV for a minute, and then they were doing the
Okay.
DVD. So, at that point, I'm shooting the rappers, the Gilly the Kids, the E Nesses, the J Mills, going up to New York, because for my DVD, I would be going to New York too. So I
Okay.
got a few guys up there, that kind of stuff, just traveling back and forth. And that's when our friend who put us together came in, because he would go with me all the time, back and forth, going, doing these interviews and stuff like that. So I was using my video production skills and my journalism skills, to kind of embark on that, and feeling like I'm gonna fall into this filmmaking thing through this in some capacity. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
and eventually though, obviously you need writing. You know what I mean? And the writing is where Tommy came in. I had ideas, but I didn't have any real scripts. You know, I didn't have any real scripts. And so our brother, you know, his god brother and one of my best friends, rest in peace, Big Bags, William Bagley, brought us back together, you know,
Okay.
at one of our other best friends' home, you know, our sister Mecca Bay, you know.
Okay.
And so we all met at that house, and then we all came together, and you know, we embarked on the what I'll call that's where the one gun journey begins, Tommy. If we say now,
Yeah.
I'm really sitting here,
Really?
really sitting here deeply thinking about it. That's where the one gun journey begins. You know what I mean? We
What-
all
what-
had our own journeys, but the journey of this project begins in Mecca Bay's house.
Okay.
And,
Now,
yeah,
and all you and both of you guys are from Philly, right?
Yeah,
we from
well,
Philly in Delaware County.
Okay. Now, Daniel,
Yeah.
my question, my other question to you is, uh, well, really, the one statement I have, that DVD era was absolutely crazy. I mean,
Yeah, man.
it's
Yeah,
like
it was
you
wild
had,
time.
man, it was wild. I mean, you know, and so like jumping from the DVD era to actually making full length films, was that like a difficult transition, or like were you ready for that?
I don't. I would say I don't know that you're almost ever ready. You keep trying to do stuff to the point that you think you're ready, you
Okay.
know. And I was learning a lot through working on other people's projects and learning through studying and learning through shooting and having my own concepts of different things, you know. But what I realized though when it came to are you ready to direct this movie, it was like, oh damn, you producing this and directing this thing, you
Okay.
know. And my partner, who is the co-director, Ms. Mark Brooks. You know, we're working through this movie, and I'm like, bro, you're directing this movie too. You know what I mean? You're not just here. You know, you're the director. So we became co-directors very early on in the project because I saw like I'm taking on a lot more producer role now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like and directing. I'm working with all the actors. You know what I
Okay.
mean? The way we pretty much worked is like how when two directors work together, one
Mhm.
director is the person who really is handling all the, the shots, the technical stuff, you know what I mean, the lighting and making sure everything is right. And he and I would have those discussions before, we would go to shoot, on different things, because we were still locking down locations sometimes and that kind of thing. All the stuff you do in independent stuff that is things that happen and it's like they made us better. We don't want to have to do them again, but it made me proud of my team. You know what I mean? Finding a location the day of our shoot. You don't want that to happen, but I'm proud of what we did and how we shot and accomplished what we knocked out. All right, we get there. Now where we setting up? Where's the lighting? All that kind of stuff. And that's how great my team is.
Okay.
Our team is with Derek Lau as our director of photography and Ms. the co-director. And Ice is our guy Ice the Super is the executive producer. He's the guy to facilitate everything. Man, without a doubt, he's the dude who told me at the beginning of this project. He said, whatever you need, you're gonna have, you know,
And you know what?
and that's what it was.
And you know what? That's a crit because like you just actually answered my next question because
Or
I was going to ask you how important is it to have a strong team, and I was going to tell you to go ahead and shout out your the people that you work with, man, because they're very important too, man. Like I said, I interview like a lot of artists and sometimes solo artists and groups and or produce artists and producers, and my question is how important is that to have a strong team, especially doing films? Because I'm not saying that it's almost similar, but everybody needs to be on the same page. So like how important is that and how many people are on your team?
okay,
let me ask you. I want to
tell me,
input
go
one
ahead.
thing. Input the fact that, and I have to say that the importance of a team is very, very important. And I tell D this all the time. Um, During the time that we were shooting, it was during COVID. So we shot during COVID, and it was tough because I actually caught COVID. I was in the hospital, and if a person ever felt like doing something alone, they have to do it alone, it's impossible. I don't care. I don't care. You just working a small business or whatever. It's just hard to do anything alone. And I'm so thankful for the team that we had because while I was in COVID, I would be talking to D, but D would constantly be, he would be at every shoot, what I mean, as a director should. And he was holding it together, but not just him, Ice making sure we, like you said, whatever you need, we would have, and we would have. You know what I'm saying? Everything Ice said he was going to do, he did. You know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying? It's like the importance of the team. You know, I let D finish that, but I just think it's, you know, very important. You know what I mean? I can't wait. I pray to God that we start working with bigger teams, you know, so we can actually shoot bigger productions. But you know, I'll start with this. This is actually great.
Okay.
Like the
Yeah.
team we have, man. I'll take this team and I'll go make with this team against any other movie anywhere, man. I feel like,
Me too.
I'll compare it to like I don't know, like a football. You know what I mean? It's a you got the quarterback, you got the coach, you got blockers and everything, and it's like the team is what it is, man. It's myself as the producer and director, and Miz is the director, and then also Derek Lau, with his eyes and his vision, and we had our guy George Winchell, who's just a lighting supreme, because the lighting is everything in a film. If you don't have good lighting, you got a flat movie. You know what I mean? So lighting is everything in the film. And now I'm sitting here talking about it because I'm gonna keep bigging up our guy Ice. Not only did he, was the executive producer, but he also scored and edited the film. You dig me? So all the music in the film is produced by Ice the Super from Nine Brigade, and the film is edited by Ice the Super from Nine Brigade. So that's another thing. So that's team there, and it's like I said, it's and then we had other people that were involved that just made it work from day-to-day basis, and then obviously the actors. You don't have a movie without actors, right? So that the actors were on a beam. We had people who was their first time. You know what I mean? You're working with people and guiding them through different things. And then I had people, we had people that are like experienced because they've been on bigger things. You don't have to tell them as much. They're coming prepared. They know what to do. You just have to set up the scenario for them to do what they have to do, and for them to execute well, And honestly, being a new director, sounds working with people like my brother Christopher Mann, like that's my guy, my big bro. I believe Chris was the first actor to read the script, and then it was Brian Anthony Wilson, right? And so they have read the script at least 10 into that 15, Tommy?
Yeah, at least.
Think about that, right? So out of that 15, about 10 years in, they had read the script and they had known about it for a while we were. See, the point of our movement is like when Tommy and I first got together, the business was different, right? Over 15 years, the business has changed. We were thinking we need to get some actors to be in this movie. I want to direct it, but we're like, all right, man, if I can't direct it and we got to do this, we just want to make sure we hold on to this and be able to make sure, these are the kind of things we were thinking about because we were shopping it. The script was being shopped, right? So after a while, the business is changing, right? And when the business is changing, because now the accessibility to equipment and to things are changing. We went from a DV tape era to a digital era, right? Yep. We could have shot on a DV tape, but it wouldn't have been the same, right? The digital era comes. You see where I'm going, bro? And so that makes it so that we can all do this.
I absolutely know what you mean. Because
right? And level the playing field.
Yep. And so let me back up a little bit. So how long did it take for this script to come to life and come on to actually make a film? You said like 10 to 15 years?
Yeah, I would say. Well, I would say because when I wrote the story in 2004 while I was locked up. I got the story published. The story was published as a book first, and the book was called Murder with a Deadly Weapon. That's on Amazon. And one of my cellies, his name was Bernard. Nard is our friend. He was non-brigade. He was part of non-brigade. So when I came home, Nard is who introduced us. He's a real significant part to all this coming together. It took some time because when I met Nard, he was my cellie at the time, but then he went upstate and he was locked up for an additional, I want to say like an additional 5 years after or maybe like an additional 4 years after I was released. And when he came home, he just happened to come into the barbershop I was working in, and then he seen what I was trying to accomplish even then. But he had the ties to Ice, and Ice, he wanted to make movies. He was tired of making music. He wanted to make movies, but he kept making music, but he wanted to filter the music through the movies, and he wanted to make movies. And that's how we all brought the story together. So I wrote the story, published the book. Nard introduced us to Ice, you know what I'm saying? And then Ice wanted to make film. And then that's when we started compiling the team to make the film. And like I said, that was over a 15-year span before, you know, because I got out of prison in 05. I'm at ICE in 17. So yeah.
like since then, since 05 up until it's out now on Tubi, um,
Mm.
in between time before like the final cuts and everything, like did you have to make changes within the script? Because the only reason why I ask is because if this was written back in 05,
Mm.
it actually it actually goes on what's going on right now in Philadelphia, not just in Philadelphia, but just in every
I feel you.
major city. So like,
Right.
and that's why I kept saying wow, because this was created 10, 15 years ago, and it is so, it's like timeless. It's you know, it's still up to date. So like, did you guys have to go back and rewrite some things and like just to make it more current, or you just kept it the same?
Yeah, what I did was but like I said, it was a book first. I published the book first. It was times even D would be out with me, you know, times I'd be by myself out, you know, shoveling books. My god brother, he was moving books from here to doggone New York, and he was just everywhere. And you know, over time, you know, the story's already published in the book. So over time, when we were adapting the script, you know, because we had shopped at the Sony Pictures, a friend of ours, Bill Proctor, who was older than me growing up. He actually, you know, when he was younger, he moved to LA. So he was working for Sony Pictures in 2011. And he had asked me to send him a script version of the book. So when we sent it to Sony Pictures, it actually, out of 100 scripts, it came to a final read and it got beat out by another story. So we were just adjusting the story through the time, as far as, you know, as time, you know, was progressing, we were adjusting the story to current time, because it's some aspects of the story that I had wrote originally that, you know, over time, you know, D was like, yo, time's changing, man. We got to put this in. And then when it came to time to shoot, as far as a shooting script, it was times he would ask me to, yo, can you rewrite this scene, or can you rewrite that scene? And then like, even Christopher Mann, we had gave Chris, because he was the lead actor, we had gave him the script, and he had offered some rewrites too. So I had did some rewrites. I didn't want to. I felt like it was taken away from the story, and but D was like, you know what? No, let's lock back in, and we got back focused to keep the story, and we just changed a couple of things, because in the book, the gun has a voice, and it speaks, and it talks about the things that it goes through. And in the film, it doesn't have a voice, because Ice and D made a valid point that sometimes if we show on screen, you know, the movement of the gun and have him like a little more sinister, it would be more effect than just having the voice speak about, you know. And they did a great job with showing that part, as far as, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
That was so incredible. We're gonna talk about that. Um, during the process, and you said that, you know, 10, 15 year span, you're shopping around the script,
Mhm.
and you know, you get rejected a couple of times. Like when that happens, like like I want to get both of you to answer this. Like what is your feeling? It's like maybe I don't want to do this, or maybe we should just go into another direction, or maybe we shouldn't just do this one. Let's just work on the next one. So like was it discouraging at some point in the process of this coming to fruition?
Oh, very, very discouraging. I mean, very discouraging. Especially, you know, D being a director, he'd have been, like I said, he'd been in front of billionaires. He'd been in front of. I've seen him in front of some when he was shooting them DVDs. I've seen him in front of some of the biggest rappers, whether it be underground or whatever. So trying to get funding for that, we've been in front of people in the studios, down in back cave and all that, talking to people about wanting to fund a film, and just everything was just falling through. So it got to a point where I actually started giving up. I started pursuing, you know, like I was a business major at Drexel. So like a lot of times with me, I want to start a business and try to create something, you know what I mean? So like, I just started wanting to do more, stuff that's like creating business and focus on my family and things like that. But then when we first met Ice, it was like, we was going to do something, but it kind of fell apart. So then
Okay.
when he was like, he was on tour or something, then when he came back, he was like, man, I just remember him saying, man, I'm so tired of this music shit. I want to make a movie so bad. He said, man, he said, you got something ready? I said, I do. So I just took the script. I took the One Gun script because me and D had rewrote it over the years, and we shopped it to Sony. And I said that was the best thing that we had that was ready, that was affordable to shoot. Because when D shot out a number as far as the budget, I was like, oh, that ain't shit. So when he said that, I was like, all right, well, let's go. And D was like, hey man, let's make a movie. So that's how that kind of went. And that was
So
over, it was over a time.
your span, right? So then I like
Yeah.
what is your take on that? Like did you get kind of discouraged and everything? But like you were kind of sort of used to it because you came from that DVD era, and that it is sometimes it's just a slow burn, and then it actually builds up. So like, what was your take on that?
And when at my first job out of college, I worked for this company called VPC, Video Production Company, and used to interview a lot of different people there as an intern. And when I left that company in DC and came to Philadelphia, my boss there told me, he said, man, you're gonna make it, if you're gonna make it, it's gonna be because of your determination, right? And that kind of stuck with me heavily. I'll never forget him saying that to me. It's one, things sometimes people say to you in life that stick with you, that was one of those things, right? Because I respected the man, And so when I came back home, that just stuck in my head because I just, I was not going to stop. But that doesn't mean I wasn't discouraged, though. There's definitely times when I was discouraged. There's times, where you get down. It's times where it's like things aren't working how you feel they should work. It's times where maybe you made a misstep, or maybe you didn't take a step you thought you should have, And then so then I'm,
not to cut you off, or sometimes you get promised stuff, not promised stuff, but an idea comes, yeah, we could do that, and then it just falls through.
That too.
That's
That
happened.
definitely too.
That's happened to us several times, man. That's happened to us.
Yeah.
That's happened to us several times, man. Yeah.
Well, thank
Well,
God
this I'll tell you
that,
about.
thank God you guys were determined, to continue to make this movie. But go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's the thing. No, I'm sorry, bro. That's the thing about making a movie too. Is Ice and I talked about this before, and even me and Tommy talked about this. We and Miz talked about this before. Like most people who make movies don't complete their films. It's a thing. It's a thing, man. If and I'm talking about this at this independent. Most people do not complete their films, and oftentimes, it's financial. A lot of times, and there's other reasons of things of why films don't get completed. But once you complete a film, you are in a special fraternity, man. It's a special fraternity of people. Like it's why even people whose films I don't like. Once I completed this film that we made, man, I was like, whoa, this was something, man. If you've done this, if you walked through this, bro, and you've got something solid, and you've got through this, man, I have to give you your debt, bro. I don't even have to like your movie, man. I just know that you've been through something and you've done something and you completed something. It's the feeling of completing something. You dig me? With your team, you know what I mean? And it's like I'm gonna always say team because these guys, our guys, bro. Visually, everything, editing, sound, and this is the thing. Filmmaking is the ultimate team sport of the arts.
Ultimate team
sport. Filmmaking is the ultimate team sport of the arts. A painter can paint by himself. Dancers can dance by themselves. You know what I mean? Singer can sing by themselves. You can record yourself. You know what I mean? Even as a singer, you can produce your own music. All that kind of stuff. But and some people can right now make movies kind of on their own and everything. But if you want to make real cinema magic, bro, you got to get the right people. And I was taught a long time ago that like you want to direct, bro. And at one time I wanted to be in college, so I want to be the auteur. I want to do everything. That kind of thing. And I had to get it drilled in my head, like, nah, bro, that's not your job. Your job as the director is to find the people best who do the things you need done, understand what they do, and let them know what you need. And then we all execute, And real quick, because I haven't spoken about somebody that I need to speak about, and that's my brother, Sonny Black, our brother, Sonny Black. Okay. All right, the other gentleman from Non Brigade. I'm going to mention Beezy too, even though he's not in the film, but we're going to work with Beezy. You know what I mean? Because Beezy ain't done nothing but show love too. So I got to mention all my guys, right? I mentioned all my guys, right? And OZ, you know what I mean, too. Got to mention all my guys. But at the same time, though, I wanted to bring up Sonny Black because like he played a part in the film that was very important. A character named Blast. All right.
Okay.
And his character Blast originally throughout the whole time I've ever had this story and this script in my head, since what was Tommy was a gentleman named Greg Jones who was going to be that,
Okay.
and he's one of our best friends. You know what I'm saying? And he passed before we got to do this, right? So at this point, we don't have a Blast, and so Ice is like Sonny Black, bro.
Okay.
Because I explained to him who Blast is. He's like Sonny Black, bro. And I'm like, and we meet Sonny, and we like, yeah, Sonny Black, bro.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And Sonny played the part to the T. Everything I ever thought my brother Greg was going to do with it, I ain't going. And this is not even exaggerating. No, everything I ever thought my brother Greg was going to do, Sonny did it how Sonny would do it. You know what I mean? That smooth hustler. That kind of guy.
You really didn't have to talk to him that much. It's like you just let him go.
Look, Sonny is right now. He's done some other films, so it was times on set where Sonny could help me with some things. And he did. Working with an actor, I'm like, all right, I need to get this done. And Sonny was like, I'm talking to an actor about something. Sonny had done some things before. He's like, no, don't worry about it. I got him. You know what I mean? I'll explain this to him and And that was good that he explained it because that's who he's working with. You know what I mean? So it's like that, almost that peer counseling, that peer teaching. You know what I mean? So it was good. They sat there and they worked it out. I came back. We went over it and everything, and it was good, ready to knock out. But Sonny had sat and worked through with him when that kind of tip. So it's good to watch my guy grow. It's good to watch all my team grow because we're all growing right now. I'm watching my man Tommy stay on me about this writing because we write together. But Tommy's the master writer. But it's like we write together. And he's like, look, they stay on this. Stay on this. We grind on each other. Ice does it too. Ice to stay on stuff, and so we need to stay on each other. Now, Nard, what's Nard always say, Tommy?
Yeah, you're bullshitting.
Yeah. So yeah, man, we got a real solid team, bro.
Yeah, and and that's good. That's good that you have an extra set of eyes and ears, and and it's not constructive criticism, but you're working together and you're on the same page, and that's a great thing. So with that being said, One Gun out on Tubi now. How just take me like the movie alone, I loved it because I love Tubi. My wife loves to. Shout out to my wife Phyllis out there. She can.
Shout out to the wife Phyllis. And we love you too, Phyllis, for loving One Gun. Appreciate you, sister.
Hey, look, let me tell you something. And she's like, "No, I don't like this movie." Not she. What? Like I could ask her about a movie. She knows every movie on Tubi. But how fortunate was that when you're making this film, you have it completed? Because Tubi is kind of fairly new. This is almost like something sent from the heavens. It's like, put this movie on Tubi. Put this. So like how was that like getting, because you've been, shopping this around, and now it's like you have a platform that you can actually put independent film. So how great was that, just putting that on Tubi? And was that easy? Because I know it's a process that you have to go through in order to get the movie up there. So like like both of you can explain to me how that process went.
All right, I'll take it. All right, it was a long process, but it was a learning process that we needed, right? And so I always knew that once we got something completed, we were going to get distribution. It wasn't anything I worried about. It was just wondering how it was going to come, because I know I have some personal relationships, to turn to for those kind of things. And I know my executive producer had relationships for him to reach out to for certain things. You know what I mean? And so one of those personal relationships just happens to be Charlie Mack, right? And because my executive producer Ice and Charlie Mack, they have a strong relationship together. They like brothers. And so in the end, we're able to reach out to him, and we get what they call an aggregator, right? Yeah. And so we're you know what I'm saying? I know what it is. The intermediary between you and the streamer, basically, right? And you walk that line before you hit these streamers. You walk with the aggregator, right? The aggregator is going to walk you through what they call the QC, the quality control. You know, you send them the film and any other things, they're going to make it go through their regulations. You know, is there this, all right, maybe this poster doesn't work right. You know, you might need to change this poster. All right, are your captions right? You know, all right, they need to be this much here. You know, they need to be, you know what I mean? All these little things, and some of those things we had to adjust. It's working through the first process of these things. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how, some of the process of going through, getting it done, and going back and forth with the aggregator, and them, doing stuff on their end. So we're playing a waiting game now with stuff because we're all doing our jobs, because our aggregator had to do their job to make sure, and then they're waiting for stuff to come back and tell us, like that kind of thing. So it was a process. And then by the end though, and that when we got on TUBI, everything starting to flow now. We had a good first month, and we're starting our marketing even better now because we're out in the streets with people, but we're also about to start doing some paid things, so you can be looking out, people will be looking out for those kind of things popping up in their social media and, and that kind of stuff. So, it was like I said, it was a nice, educated, making a movie is a beautiful struggle, bro. You know what I mean? It is, but at the same time, once you even start, I expect the next one to not be even like that, just to be beautiful with, there's always something going to go wrong, but the struggle's going to be different. You know what I'm saying?
Like
it's
now,
like the same kid.
Because like now, you went through the process of putting it on Tubi. Number one, but this is just my opinion. Number one, now you know what to expect, and it's like, okay, we need to put this here, so that will be a little bit smooth. And number two, the movie itself, One Gun, is already proven that it belongs on that streaming network. So now it's like, well, it's going to be easier to submit something else. And this, give me a breakdown of One Gun, because I did read and I did my research of the story. I saw the movie, which was absolutely crazy, and I loved it. And just tell me about the story, and I'm going to give you my opinion on it, because the one interesting thing that you guys did with this movie, it actually has a message. And I'm not saying that Tubi movies don't have messages, but your movie was entertaining, and it also has a message. So like, break down like both of you could break down the movie for me.
Let me say something real quick and then you go, Tommy. Can I say something real quick, Tommy, and then you go with that? Because bro, it's important what you just said, because for a while I was wondering, I was wondering, what is the message coming across? You know what I mean?
Yes,
because sometimes people need to be smacked with a message as opposed to it being exposed to them and showing it, right? And my cousin the other day said just what you said to me. My cousin Miles, the actor as well. He said, D, I saw the message in it. And that's all I wanted to say, Tommy. It's on you, bro. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. That's the thing. I think in writing the story, I don't know if my initial intent was to deliver a message, but I wanted to. A lot of times people always like worrying about a lot of they worry about arms dealing or worry about the amount of guns that's in the street, which are but just one gun goes, because I've had a gun that I've lost, I've had guns that I found, and one gun can pass around in multiple hands, so it makes having multiple guns even worse of a problem. So after the rewrites that me and D have went through, a lot of times I think the rewrites is what made the message, because the way the story is now, it's a little different. And then I just think through the development over time is where the message, and then with all the violence that's going on, Philadelphia has always been violent, but it's just in recent years, it's just gotten a little crazy. But this year, I keep saying, since the Eagles won, it got a little calm, but it's still wild.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So
But
go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, just over time, I think the development of the story, that's where the message was really, and just the way that they filmed, the way it was filmed, because some of the angles, the way the story is told, and Ice just did a great job with the editing. I just think he did a great job with the editing. D and Miz did a great job with directing. Derek did a great job. You know, the actors, everybody that was involved. You know, like D said, you know, making the film is a beautiful thing, but it's a lot of ups and downs that we went through. You know, it's times you know, we paid for, you know, to block a street off, and we couldn't even use the cameras because it was raining. So that money that we paid, because you got to pay for, you know, to have the cops there. You got a white shirt with 2 uniforms, and you have to have them on each angle of the block. So you're paying 6 police officers $35 an hour, and then you turn around, you know what I mean? You turn around, and then you can't even shoot that day. So it's like, you know, sometimes I can understand how somebody would, you know, say, you know what, the hell with this, scrap the whole project. I've been part of projects that were scrapped, so it's like I don't, you know what I mean. I'm just thankful that, you know, we were able to see final cut. You know.
Okay.
And that was the first day he talking about, bro. That was the first day, and all that was my fault.
First day.
And I had to get past all that, bro. I'm trying to tell you, man. I had to get past all of that, all those mistakes that was made, and be like, all right, nah, I'm still good. I love this, bro. I love this thing that we do called filmmaking and cinema. I love it, bro. So it made me realize, like, at that point, you know, because I remember that first day in that first week, at times I was like, you really want to do this, bro? Because, like, you know, I had bumped my heads a few times on some things, you know what I mean? You know, just on the learning process, right? And that was just for a second. I said, then I was like, you damn right you want to do this, you fool. You know what I mean? What do you love more than this, bro? What do you love more than this? Now get your stuff up. You know what I'm saying? You know, say, you know, talk to your peoples and get busy. And every day, everybody's ready to rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? Every day. And when you get around your people, you can't even be, first off, because, you know, as a leader of the team of stuff, you know what I mean? You can't be in a way that's something that sets a tone. That's not a good tone. You know what I mean? And then you got other good people there that will hold you up even when you're not feeling right. You know, and you start feeling right because you got to be right to make the movie. You know what I mean? And you get back on your feet. You know what I mean? You get back on your feet and you be like, all right, I'm good. Let's go. You know, and that's my first experience. Right now, it's like I feel like I'm good right now. You know what I mean? I'm ready to rock and roll because that first experience was such like thing. You know, I'm sure my executive producer who edited it would tell you different, a similar thing, but from a different perspective from the editing process. That's me with the production process, right? And then he had a whole different thing with the post production of stuff he had to do, right?
Okay.
So,
and that's another thing. The energy that that non-brigade brings, that ICE brings to us, D's energy when, you know, when he's gone, you know, D has once he gets started, he got to finish. And that's one thing I love about him. You know, once he gets started, he got to finish. Ice is the same way. Once we get started, we're gonna finish. And that's another reason why the film got done, because Ice, like he said, whatever you need, it's going to get done. And everything he said he was going to do, he did. And that's one thing why, you know, when you meet some people, no matter their stature, I've always been a non-brigade fan. I used to buy their music and everything. So to actually work with them and be around them, you know what I'm saying? Because at one time they was hot, man. They was, and I still love them. I still say they hot, you know. But at one time they was on fire, and I was buying their records. Where over time to meet, you know, to meet them, and to actually be around them and be able to go in the studio to really call them my brothers now. I mean, to me, I'm like ecstatic over it. But it's like, you know, I'm so anxious to do something else, because to be around them and to, like, I just seen on one of their interviews where they feel like, you know, Sonny feel like he got some shit to get off his chest. And the way I feel since he said that, I want to help him get that. I want to help them all, even D. I want to help them all get, if I can be the writer behind some shit that they do, excuse how I put that, I want them all to get some stuff off their chest, because I got some stuff to get off my chest when it comes to, you know, the arts and things like that. So, you know, I hope that, you know, God willing, in the future, you know, we can make some more, you know, a lot more stories actually come to light, because I got a lot more in the tuck. And just, you know, it's just going to take time, some money, and, you know, just keep going, you know.
No, that's tough. Now, you know, I want to, you know, give a shout out to, you know, all the actors that were in One Gun, because like 3 particular actors I want to point out.
I
The
can't wait for
detective.
this. I'm hyped. I'm hyped.
I like the detective because the detective was so determined to figure out what was going on in Philadelphia, and and you kind of put us in the heads of detectives of how they question people, how they come up with certain things. So I want to shout him out because he played a great part in that. Also, too, like I said before,
That's
it's a
Christopher
lot of
Mann.
message. What's that?
His name is Christopher Mann.
Christopher Mann. Shout out to Christopher Mann. You did a
Christopher Mann.
phenomenal job, brother. You did a
For sure.
phenomenal job. Also, the second actor was the little boy that was in school. Because
That's
of
my
the fact
nephew.
that's your nephew.
Yes,
Shout out,
Nico
shout out to your
Arline.
nephew. Shout out to your nephew, bro, because he did a phenomenal job. Because when I say that there was messages, there was also a bullying message in there too. You see what I'm saying? So like you guys covered a lot of bases, and it's not just in the inner city. It just happens in all schools all over the United States. And you guys covered that. And it was just like the dynamic of what he was going through in school, and just growing up, and he's just minding his business. He's just being a kid, and he's getting bullied, and he finds this gun, and he does what anybody wants to do. He wants to defend himself. So your nephew did a phenomenal job. And the main character, and this is why I love doing my research on like artists and whoever I'm interviewing, because somebody, I don't know who was doing the interview, but one of you guys said the main character in this movie is the gun. And that was, I was like, damn, it's like he's absolutely right. No speaking parts, just moving from one part of the city to the other part of the city. You guys did a phenomenal job. And was that the like you said in your book that it had speaking parts, but to be honest, you really didn't have to have speaking parts per se, because it just spoke in volumes of like how guns get passed around. So like, you guys did a phenomenal job with that, man. I just want to say that. You know what I mean? Because like that was all put together. So it started at the pawn shop. I don't want to give away the whole movie. It started at the pawn shop. It started, the dudes, went back and they did what they did at the pawn shop, and they went back to their spot, and then things completely just went left, with the police coming in and everything like that. And you just saw like how the gun just moved from here to here to here to here. I mean, and like I said, was that the main, when I say the main purpose of the movie, but because I know you wanted to be entertaining, and it was entertaining, but when you finally looked at it, it's like, damn, we actually have a ton of messages in here. You have like domestic violence, you have, robberies, you have people like you have like a lot of messages going on in that. And my question is like, was that kind of like, okay, we know the climate of, movies that are on Tubi right now, and there's so many phenomenal filmmakers in our area, in the Camden, New Jersey area, and in the Philadelphia area that are making movies that are out on Tubi. So, like, my question is, was it kind of, were you kind not intimidated, but it's like, okay, we see what's on Tubi now. It's like, how can we compete with this, and not even just compete? How can we stand out? And how did you do that?
I just want to say one thing, Dick. Phil, let me tell you something. This man right here is my guy. Let me tell you something. If you talk about a filmmaking, not a filmmaking, a film connoisseur, D is a film connoisseur. So, and one thing about him, and see me, D's known me a long time. He knows I grew up being an athlete. D knows the athlete side of me as well. That side of me is in life is where D knows when it comes to athletes, nothing intimidates me. So, and in life as we get older, you would hope nothing intimidates you. And that's something that him and I feed off of him. He feeds off of me. When it comes to making a film together, I just feel like even with Ice was an athlete in his time. He was a great rapper in his time, and he did what he did. With all that together, none of those films on Tubi intimidates us. No film ever made intimidates us. There was a time, so I wrote a story. Me and D wrote a story about Phyllis Hyman. So we have a script about Phyllis Hyman's life. And I swear, if we ever get a chance to make it, we talking about turn the city upside down. I just swear, but there was a time I believe that me and D believed we needed another director to make it. Not now. I'll be damned if I would ever let another person direct my film other than D and Miz. I just think that they could pull it off to make a great picture that could win a major situation. I just think we could do it. As long as the writing is on point and they bring about the visual of what they see from the writing, I just think we could make a great picture. But that's just me. I just think nothing intimidates me when it comes to competition, as far as the making of the film, as far as being an artist. And then I just want to contribute to the arts. And I just feel like D's on the same page. Like now I think his confidence level is like, dog, I don't think nothing could, what I'm saying? I think we can make whatever. We just need to, take our steps on what we're going to do.
Real quick, Donnell, I'm gonna let you answer that too. But look, let me tell you something. If you do that Phyllis Hyman movie, I'm telling you right now. Look, yeah, we gotta talk off the off the cameras, because it's a lot with Phyllis Hyman, one of the greatest, not even just greatest Philadelphia artists of all time, but one of the greatest artists of all time, period.
All time. Yep.
Was so misunderstood.
Yeah.
Back then, which it wasn't. You know what? I don't even want to get into it, but you better make that, man. I'm telling you right now.
I pray we make that story.
Yeah, you better make it. Yeah, because you know what?
Yes, sir.
Because I see your face, and I think I know some things that and we're just gonna leave it at that, okay? That would be a great movie to make. But Donna, I'm sorry about that, bro. You can go ahead and answer that too. Like how was it, just seeing all the other movies on Tubi, and not even just seeing all the other movies on Tubi, but now you're seeing so many, like, shout out to the people over in Camden, New Jersey. They have Sons of Sin out right now, Chase Street, and and there's so many other movies in the city of Philadelphia that are producers and creators and actors that are in these movies now. So like how was that that level of competition for you?
I'll be very honest. I never really think about it, and that's not in any kind of way that's a slight to anybody else. I'm just kind of thought on the path. You know what I mean? Everybody's doing their thing. Sometimes if we can meet with people, because we got a friend named Derek Hammond who's out here doing his thing. You know what I mean? We're proud of Derek. You know what I mean? And we just, that's our guy, right? But we in different lanes. We doing different things. You know what I mean? And it's going to be time when we may collaborate, though. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. But I'm never really thinking about anybody else's path. I'm thinking about, what we're working on and where direction we're going, and the potential of everything that we have. You know what I mean? I always kind of have tunnel vision. And I'm not a other people kind of thing. I'm a other people in collaboration, but not a other people in, outside of that, but I watch other people's stuff to see what people are doing, and to give people that when they, that type thing. You know what I mean?
And, and I apologize. I think I formed the question wrong. I didn't mean like intimidation, or I just meant because as an artist, because I do a radio show. I've been doing this radio show for like 15 years. Of course, I listen to Power 99. Of course, I listen to 103.9. I listen to all the other radio stations and all the other hip hop shows, because I just want to see what they're doing. And it's like, well, maybe because it's like, well, maybe what they're doing, maybe I can do a little bit what they're doing, mix what I'm doing, because everybody actually gets ideas from other people. So I
Exactly.
apologize for that. I didn't mean like intimidation or anything like that. Just meaning that, you know, your film was on Tubi and like you just going looking through. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll check that out.
Proud to be
Okay,
part of it, bro. Proud to
yeah,
be part of it, bro. Proud
yeah,
to be part of this movement of people, because it's a lot of people whose work is at the beginning stages of where they at, and they're gonna grow and get better. It's people that's at the level that we at. It's people that's it's a lot of levels that's being shown right now, right? And as long as everybody that's working has the thing, because the most important thing is consistency. You know,
mhm.
Right.
as long as you can stay consistent in this, you know, you have an audience and you keep going. Man, I'm happy for everybody that's doing it, bro.
Mm.
I'm telling
Right.
you, can I get real quick before I even forget about it?
Yeah, go
There's
ahead.
3 people I want to mention. One of them I've already mentioned, you know, because he's just he's just so significant to the look of everything. And that's my co-director, Ms. Mark Brooks, right? Like
Okay.
Miz's vision and my vision came together. You dig me? Like it got to a point where I would talk and he could finish my sentences on things because the way we saw the script was so similar. You know, it was comfortable to have this thing in the hands of Miz. You dig what I'm saying? So, man, just like I just want to make sure we understand Mark Brooks, Miz, man, this guy, he's the deal, man. He's the deal. And the other 2 actors that I want to mention, you know, really are my guys, Charles Harris, and Ronnie Baker. Them 2 guys, they're the guys that robbed the store.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep.
Woo, those guys ain't no joke, man. We're gonna see more of those brothers. You
I
know,
was
we're gonna
like,
see more of those brothers, man.
you know, I don't want to give away the movie because I want everybody to go check it out and feel the same experience that I feel. But I'm like, damn, why he do that for? But I understand now why he did that in the beginning, just to show the movement of how everything moves around. So I understood it, but like me and my wife, we were sitting there, it was like, damn, we ain't have to shoot him. You know, we was like, what the hell? But yeah, real quick, we're gonna wrap up because I know you guys are real busy. But the one thing I like about what you did with this movie also, of course, with anything else is promotion. And you know, you had a movie screening, I think in Scranton, PA, right? I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
was it Scranton, PA?
Lancaster.
Oh, Lancaster.
We're in
I,
Lancaster.
I, I apologize, Lancaster. I know it was one of the ers, but you know, but how was that the premiere of that screening, and also the reason that I found out about it because you actually had guys just handing out flyers, and I got my flyer about the movie down in Atlantic City. So like, real quick, now, how was the movie premiere in Lancaster, and also how important is that for the promotion part of it?
So we've had 2 premieres. We had one premiere in Center City, which was awesome, and then we
Okay,
had another premiere. We had the other premiere, the other screening later that was in Lancaster. But me per se, I feel like you know, one hand washes the other. So if a group of people come to the screening, those group of people go tell other people. It's like a friend of mine who's a DJ. Shout out to DJ 7.
okay,
Um, with him, he was going to the Poconos, and just with him knowing, he had 8 people with him, and or 7 people with him, and all of them, they were all looking at the movie on their laptop. So like, you know, one person tells another, and then you know that one hand washes the hand effect. I just feel like that's very important as far as, you know, having those premieres and screenings. And the one in Lancaster, you know, I think a lot of them people, they, I don't know if they don't have Tubi or I don't know how, but they were supporting Derek, and I thought that was an awesome event, you know what I mean? So we could at least spread the word to those. I like to have another one if possible, you know, somewhere else. But, you know, we have to see what the team says. You
okay.
know, we'll go from there. Yep.
Hey, look, real quick, Donnell, before you answer that, what my wife does, she is on a group chat, and every week they're like, "What movies do we need to check out on Tubi?" And you know, everybody gives their suggestions. And like I said, the one week, when we saw One Gun, my wife texts out. She texts out to the group chat. Check out One Gun. Is very good. So I
Oh,
mean, and you know, it's just word
appreciate
of
that.
mouth. And to be honest, that's what I love about like the new age right now, because you don't have to spend money on promotion. You don't have to spend money on commercials or going on the radio. I mean, you could just do it from here. You know, you have your social media. I mean, that you could post everything, and you know, and the word gets out even quicker, because you know, if you have a good product, you know, people are going to come find it. And if you have a good team, once again, if you have a good team to actually
Mhm.
promote the movie, you know, people will watch it, man. And so Donnell,
Yeah.
like tell me, how important is that, like, for the promotion part of the movie?
And promotion is the next wave of it. You know, you got your,
Yep.
you know, promotion is part of the post production, really, honestly. And sometimes promotion, you know, depending on what you're doing, promotion honestly should maybe start at in production. You know,
Okay.
find ways to start you know promoting the movie, whether it be, you know, putting out stuff from behind the scenes. You know, why you're working on it, and the other ways. It's time to start. You know, we're working to be more creative as we're doing these things and learning different ways to do things. You know, putting out little webisodes, maybe of certain things, or something coming soon while it's, you know, while in production, maybe, you know, little things like that. But the promotion is extremely important, because we have to, you know, you have the different kind of streaming. You got the streamers that are that is, you know, advertising based, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the streamers that are subscription based, right?
Gotcha.
And it's if advertising based, either one, you need to draw the people to the site, right? And promotion is important. And outside of that, though, I've always been a firm believer, because I'm from the hip hop era. I
Mhm.
believe in word of mouth. You know what I
Word
mean?
of
In the streets. You dig me? I believe in word of mouth in the streets. And once you get it in the streets and you get the word of mouth going, you know, that'll be important too. But still, billboards and little and advertisements.
Mhm.
Those things are important to, you know, and learning your demographics and those kind of things. It's like being a filmmaker more is now than just being a filmmaker.
Mhm.
Hey Phil,
Yep.
once I can get these dudes to get to Miami and submit and to get into this into the American Black Film Festival, all our because all the black distributors, the black film, and I don't want to make this a black and white thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
supporting us, I just feel like, you know, if we support
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
And then at the American Black Film Festival, I've been there before, and I've been trying to get these dudes to put our films in that. So I'm hoping in the future we can see that, and then the outcome of what comes from that, I just think it'll put us on a whole nother platform. I just feel like, you know, it's going to take some time to get them there. But right now, you know, we're starting small, but on a more global effort. I just feel like going to some of these festivals that are more geared towards us, you know, it'll help us a whole lot.
Well, you're definitely on the right track. But you know, we love. You know, I love the movie. You know, I've seen online
Thank you,
people,
brother.
you know, just, you know, give great reviews about it. I seen uh when on YouTube, when, you know, like cast members are interviewed and everything like that. And you know, we love the movie, but what is the next up and coming movies? We need to know. You know, we want to still promote and still support One Gun, but do you have anything down the line that we can look forward to?
Yeah, so I have. We were just in the studio probably last week, and we were talking about some things. But right now, I'm actually writing four scripts that I have two scripts that me and D wrote. Working on One Gun Two, because between Miz, D, and Ice, they got me writing One Gun Two and a One Gun Three. So I got a
Okay.
One Gun Three, a One Gun Two, that's back in the streets, and One Gun Three that's a prequel of where the gun from before it got to the pawn shop.
Wow.
So these,
Okay.
these are these are stories that I've had in my head for years, way before they even said anything. But I never actually wrote them because of what we were going through as far as trying to get One Gun made, and it just made me feel like. But D is always like, man, you got to write another book. You should, you know. But and I'm like, well, I need to write a second, you know, story to it. But then we started writing a story called Bad Timing. So we have Bad Timing, we have One Gun Two, we have a story called Started from the Bottom that I wrote, and we have another story called County Kings. that I'm working on. So that's the story that I have that I'm writing. But I know the Bad Timing story is one that me, D, and Ice have been working on, and I'm hoping that that's our next film that we shoot. But I just feel like this movie County Kings, or it's going to be County Kings about bad timing, will be what I think is what we can do next. And that's all
Okay.
Ice was saying. Ice just said whatever story's finished, that's what we're going to do. So he's ready. The team is ready to go into production again, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go so we can promote all these films together. You know.
Hey Donna, real
Definitely.
quick, like, do you have anything like else coming down that you're creating with the team, or like a solo thing? And also, real quick, how intriguing is that? Because I want to go back to that DVD era. Like, would you actually like? Because I know you have like a lot of stuff. I know you have a lot of stuff. Like, can you like? Is there a documentary in the making? Because like
Um,
you guys at that point at the time in the
mhm.
era of the DVD era, you guys were getting so much footage, and I can only
Right.
imagine how much footage you have now, and you could go back and just look through and it's like, damn, I didn't even, like it was significant times. It might have been in your life. It might have been in the hip
Right.
hop
Right.
era. It might have been when things were going left in the city of Philadelphia. I mean, so like, what are you working on? Besides Thomas right now, like, are you working on anything else?
Oh, that point that you just made though is very interesting about going back because I've been looking at some archival stuff recently, and I have a smaller archive, but my guys, Easy Jason, and EA, their archive is huge, and I shot a lot of stuff for them. So I've been thinking
Okay.
about chopping it up with them about maybe seeing what we could do with some of that footage, But and I had, like I said, I have my own footage. I'm about to start reposting some stuff like an interview I have with Mano, an interview I had with the OG Chaz, that used to be Black Hand, like that kind of stuff. So it's some of them things I'm looking to post soon. But the real focus, honestly, is everything Phenomenal Pictures. Is the stuff Tommy is working on, and some I have some stuff I'm writing, and the way he and I work is it's the stuff he writes, stuff I write, and then we'll throw it at each other. All right, you like this, you with it. We go back and forth. All right, we start chopping at things, and we move from there. So it's like I'll tell him, yo, give me your first, when you got your first 10 pages, let me get it. You know what I mean? Like he getting on me now because it's 30 pages that I haven't finished. You dig me? So it's 30 pages that I got to get on and finish up.
And I'm
But
about
big bro is like, yo, finish that up. You know what I mean? And I'm going to tell Ice he got to finish his 30 pages too, and he got to read. And that's how we dealing with each other
hey,
right now. But as far as other things, shooting other things, we seeing my guys that have been interviewed on some other things. So some more interviews will be coming up. With Non Brigade. I'm sure some music will be coming. And right now I'm in the process of putting together like a mixer, that we'll say. All right, I'll give you one little thing right now, right? That you're not making. We get putting together a mixer, like it's called a one gun mixer. It's going to be featuring Non Brigade and our girls In Tune. That's a group that Ice produces.
Okay.
In Tune. Look out for In Tune, bro. I'm trying to tell you, these two girls, they the deal. So it's
Okay.
going to be a one gun mixer featuring Non Brigade and In Tune, and I'm at the beginning stages of it now, so it's not going to be like next month. You dig me? But it's coming, and you heard about it here first.
Yeah, let me know because I definitely will promote that with you and help you guys get that information out. But how can people get in contact with you guys and connect with you guys? Because social media is so important right now. So give out all your social media handles where they can check out Phenomenal Pictures.
Okay. Well, Phenomenal Pictures One is our Instagram at Phenomenal Pictures One. My personal one is Donnell Cinema. So that's DONNELL Cinema, CINEMA. Our executive producer Roland Bailey his is Ice. I believe it's Ice the Super on Instagram, and Tommy. Which one? What's your Instagram?
he who wrote an epic piece is he who wrote an epic piece. That's on Instagram, and then the Phenomenal Pictures one. That's another one.
And then
Yeah.
also we got other sites for you to get to. We got on Twitter, we're One Gun Movie. On YouTube, we put in One Gun. It's gonna come up there. What's the other one? TikTok, One Gun Movie. We're
Facebook.
trying to get it across the board right now.
Okay.
Yeah, on
Facebook too, One Gun, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
my very
So-
last question is, and I always ask these artists this, and so I'm gonna pose this question to you guys. If you can give one word describing the movie One Gun, what would it be? So, Thomas, you can start off first.
I would say a message. Like you said, I would say a message.
I'm gonna say exhilarating.
I'll take
Exhilarating.
I'll take both of those because, like I said, you know, once we finished watching the movie, we looked at each other. We was like, "Damn, that actually did have a message." And it's like, and like my wife knows I like to break stuff down and whatever. I said, "No, I see, it was like a lot of messages in there." I mean, it's talking about the gun, the gun epidemic, illegal gun epidemic that's going on right now, not just in Philadelphia, but throughout the whole United States. And you guys really broke down. It can only just take one gun to create a whole bunch of chaos out here, and like people automatically think that it's just a couple guns here, a couple of guns there, but it can only take one gun because I know like you heard that on so many of these on the news reports and police. Well, this gun was connected to this and this gun. I said, well, damn, how did they get all the way to Southwest Philadelphia? And they're talking about like North Philly. I mean, and then they say, oh, it was over the bridge in Camden. I mean, it's like, well, wait a minute, it's like, but
Right.
but it only takes one gun, and like you guys lay that out so perfectly, man. And I can't wait to hear and see more of what you guys got coming down the line, man, because like I said, I was at an event in Atlantic City, and the brother handed me a flyer, and I was already intrigued right there. I mean, we raced home and we watched the movie. I mean, it's like I said, "Did you see this on?" She said, "Nah, I haven't seen this yet." We saw it, and she said, "Yo, I love this." So and then she loves it. Of course, she's the boss. She's the. I'm like, yeah, I love it too. But really, I really did love the movie, and I really like I liked how you guys constructed it. I want to thank you guys for coming on because, I think we need more movies like this. We need entertainment and messages, and like you can do that, and I think that some people think no, you don't need a message because it's going to take away from the entertainment part. But no, you guys really had you guys covered all the bases, and I want to thank you and congratulate you on your movie and more continued success for you down in the near future.
Thank you, bro. For sure.
Much appreciated, bro. Much appreciated, man.
Hey,
Much appreciated, man.
do you guys want to give shout outs to anybody before we get out of here?
I just want to give a shout out to Rolling Belly, Ice the Super, and Nard, Big Nard, and my man OZ, and Non Brigade, Black, you know what I mean, Sonny Black,
Easy.
Rambo, the whole Non Brigade squad, you know what I mean, Miz, you know what I mean, everybody that was involved in One Gun, the cast, the production team, and I pray to God everything, what's next is, even bigger and better. So, and I appreciate you. Shout out to you, Phil. You know what I mean? I
I
appreciate this,
appreciate you
man.
guys, man.
Definitely, man.
Because as
Definitely
soon as
that.
I finished watching the movie, I hit you guys up on Instagram. I said, "Yo, I got to interview these brothers, man, for real." I'm sorry, Darnell. You can go ahead. You got any shout outs?
Yeah, I'll say a few names. I didn't say my little bro Kenny Tucker. He's in the movie. He's the one who he comes home to his woman. He fights Nakia Dillard, who's another name. Oh, how did I not
Oh,
mention
wait a
Nakia
minute,
Dillard?
wait a minute.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not gonna say that was a funny part, but I was like, yeah, it happens though. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's another actor. So shout out to him, man.
So, Nakia Dillard, that's the bro right there, man. So Nakia Dillard and Kenny Tucker and Erica Cuff and Denny Live. My two little ladies, Jordy, and my other little sister played the two little girls, that were walking when Kenny was shooting and everything. Like, because everybody really played their part. Our guy, is a cop, and he really he bought that. Ooh, man, he bought the part when he had to rush out the car and he saying what he's saying there. It's certain people that bring realism to things, you know what I mean? So yeah, shout out to the whole cast. I know I missed some names and everything, but I wanted to throw out a few other people so people, understand, you are appreciated, and Maggie Shirk as well,
Maggie
who was
Maggie was a big part of the production.
our woman detective Maggie.
Oh
Yeah.
yes. Shout out to her. Yeah, she played a good part too. Yo, man, real quick, backstory of the movie. I'm gonna tell you, like the one character I did not like was the girl. I ain't like her because she set dude up. I was like, damn, why she set dude up? But I'm not gonna give away. Look, you want to see it? Go on Tubi and type in One Gun. It's gonna be up there. But I was like, damn. I said she ain't had to do man. She ain't had to do dude like that. She did him dirty. But I'm not gonna give it away. But she whatever. No, but I really want to think who was that actress because she did a real good job too.
Oh, that's Erica Cuff.
Okay,
Yeah,
that was
Erica.
Erica. Okay,
Erica
shout out to Erica, but I didn't like it.
She's actually,
you did good, baby. If you don't like it, that means you did your thing.
Yeah, exactly. You know what?
Erica's actually a great comedian. Erica's actually a great comedian. She's a great comedian in the city of Philly. But I've seen her perform at Helium and a couple Warm Daddies. I've seen her do stand up, and she's a great stand up. I've known her most of my life, but her stand up ability is she's like up and coming. She deserves like really a big opportunity. But yeah, she actually held that role down. So yeah, my name is Erica Cup. Yeah.
I forgot two more people real quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Maurice Womack, my big little bro, and my other brother, Antoine Harris, we call him Twiz. He's a great painter, you know what I mean? A great MC and songwriter, but those are my two goons that were in there with Erica.
Oh,
right.
Okay. I didn't like them either. No. Everybody did a phenomenal job, man. And my last closing words is, thank you for, putting this picture out because I think it's really needed, especially in these time and days, especially in our area. And also too, you guys are creating careers for people. And some people didn't think that they would have a career in films, and you're actually creating opportunities for people to expand their horizons in this industry. And shout out to you guys too, man, because you guys are really you guys are creating opportunities for people.
Oh man,
appreciate that, man. That's honestly, that is a big thing for me personally, is that I want the people that work with us to be able to be in a film. People see our film and they get other work. I want to see people keep going. I want to see my people keep doing better in what they're doing, and be proud that they worked with us, that we work together, and to keep a set that works well so that when you leave our set, you can speak well of how we worked and you enjoyed your time with us. You know what I mean? That's important to me.
Yeah. Thomas Overton, Donnell Regusters. I really want to thank you guys for coming on. And look, what we're gonna do, we're gonna play the trailer. And so if you play the trailer, then that's gonna get people to watch it even more. Hey, if you already saw it, go back and watch it again. Because let me ask you a question before we get out of here. How does all that work? Because I guess it has a tracker of how many people actually go up there and watch it. So how do you get numbers like daily, weekly? Like how does all that work with Tubi?
Well, right now we're at the very beginning, and we're about a month and a half to 2 months in, right?
Yeah.
So we're learning that process right now, and I don't know if it's going to be annual or quarterly. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We're finding that out as it's coming down. But we were just recently told though that our first month went really well, so we should be expecting some kind of demographic soon. That's the heads up. It's like, you guys, all right, doing well, keep it moving. keep the push it this much. You know what I mean? But soon we should be getting demographics and have a better idea of everything.
And we're only like D said, we're only a few months in as far as promotion, so we haven't even touched a percentage of the city yet, let alone the globe. So like, you know, to try to keep pushing to get the film out there, and usually it's a quarterly thing when it comes to, you know, distribution and these companies, but and that's, you know, every 3 months. But usually, you know, I mean, as far as promotion, like we're just at the beginning. So it's like, you know, I believe us putting even shooting something else. So when we start shooting something else, that would even help the promotion of One Gun, because they want to see what we're working on, what we have already. And that's my thing at wanting to get the cameras out again. So, you know, it can bring more traffic to what we've done and what we got coming up, and just keep it going, you know, like that.
That's what's up. Hey, look, I really want to thank you guys for coming on, man. Anything I can do on my part, just let me know. I would love to see you premiere in Jersey. You know, maybe down in Atlantic. Maybe down in Atlantic
Derek
City.
mentioned that to us a little while ago.
Yeah, we were working on that. You just made that'd be perfect, because we were planning it before, but now I'm ready to walk through the plan. We gotta walk. We gotta make it happen now.
Yeah. Now, that sounds good.
HCX1 Studios down in Atlantic City, New Jersey. That would be a great place for it. I'm just saying. So you know what I mean? Hey, look, we're gonna talk, because I've seen a movie. I seen a TUBI movie premiere down in HCX1 Studios, and it went very good.
Right. Okay, then definitely we should talk about it. Definitely we should talk about it.
We're gonna talk about it.
For sure.
Hey, look, Thomas and Donnell, man, I really want to thank you guys for coming on. And what we're going to do right now, we're going to play the trailer for One Gun. And like I said, anything you need for me to do on my end, just let me know, brothers. And, you know, like I said before, thank you and congratulations on all your success that you're doing right now.
No, man, thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
That's what's up. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to play the trailer for One Gun. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in and keep it locked. And I'm going to have more interviews up, not just with artists, but just, it's going to be the art form, but it's going to be sports. It's going to be movies. It's going to be, of course, music. So, you know, just keep it locked right here. SABI TV, YouTube, Boombox Union, YouTube channel. Please check it out. And I'll talk to you guys.
May I help you?
Yeah. I'm going to purchase a gun, please.
Do you know what kind of firearm you're looking for?
Something powerful, you know, but to get to it.
Do you want to grab or what?
Yeah, man. What you think I came all the way here for nothing?
The fuck she watching?
This looks like exactly what I need.
Everybody put your motherfucking hands in the air! Y'all know what this is! Hey, man, slow the fuck down, man!
Fierce. Yeah, where? Southwest? We're on our way.
What do we got?
211 turned into a 187 of a pawn shop.
I've never seen anyone shot before, especially not like that.
She's been through a rough one.
Yeah, I can tell. Our person made this one really ugly.
You got something on your mind, Seth?
Michael Thompson, street name Blast.
Bring my money back. Don't make me choke the shit out you, all right?
Okay.
Petty gun dealers? You really think it's them behind all this?
Keep pointing the fucking gun right at you! Don't give a fuck about that gun!
Shit, we got us a little lover's quarrel here.
I was calling because I wanted to fuck your brains loose tonight. Seriously. Come get this pussy.
Really? You got a gun in your taxi.
This is Banks? Let them know we're on our way over now. We're in the area.
Detective Banks. Surprised seeing you here.
Thought you were out on retirement.
Not yet.
All right, today we're going to continue learning basic algebra.
What was that all about?
Yeah, 911 got a call. Victim came home to an intruder, reported robbery. All right, well, I'll go over to the train station in the morning and just try to see what I can find out.
Yeah, well, I hope blasting that gun show up again. I really hate to see anyone else get hurt with that one gun.
Oh, shoot, this joint real.
Run, Jimmy, run!